Now, Dr. Baumia, in paragraph 20 of your affidavit, if I may read the first part. Do you have it with you?
Yes.
Please read the first part.
That in light of this inexplicable difference and the experience of discrepancies that arose at Domi Kwabenya constituency between the results of the MPP parliamentary candidate and the first petitioner, which results were subsequently corrected upon persistent protest by the MPP parliamentary candidate, as well as calls from members of the MPP in a number of constituencies across the country, complaining that the results being declared were not accurate.
Thank you. For the time being, we can stop there. We can continue if need be later. Now, these complaints were in connection with alleged discrepancies with the votes as counted at the polling stations and the votes as announced by the second respondent. Is that not correct?
The complaints were varied. There were votes, about intimidation, about bribery, and so on. But we knew we had to come with evidence, concrete evidence, and this is why we've come with the evidence on the pink sheets. But we had all sorts of complaints.
Dr. Baumia, I'm suggesting to you that the complaint at that stage was regarding the alleged inconsistency between the votes as counted and the votes as announced by the second respondent.
There are different types of complaints, varied complaints, including discrepancies in votes announced and counted, intimidation, voting without biometric verification, and so on. We had lots of complaints, but we could not come to court on the basis of hearsay, and this is why we've had to put this evidence together, my lords.
My lord, I understand this is not my cross-examination, but bribery and extortion is being mentioned for the first time here. I think it should be expunged from the records. There's been no allegation of bribery and extortion. That's direct crime. I think it should be expunged from the records.
This example.
What we heard the witness say is a number of complaints were made. And he listed those complaints and said they recognized that they had to come to court with concrete evidence. In this court, we have not led evidence on corruption. It is not one of the grounds. But he was listing it as one of the grounds of the complaints received. So I cannot see why you're complaining. He hasn't said that corruption is one of the grounds in this court.
No. My lord, I think that it is fair to mention that the cameras are here. We all know what happens outside this courtroom with information going out. There has never been any discussion in this case, either by pleading, affidavit, or testimony direct on anything relating to direct crimes of bribery and extortion. I think it should be expunged from the records.
My lords, are we going to have these interjections from counsel for first respondent? He has finished his cross-examination, and it is second respondent's counsel which we should be complaining about. The question was asked by the second respondent and not the first respondent. Are we going to be having these interjections because certain answers are not good to the first respondent?
Well, you see that there is a certain common territory in the case on both sides. And I thought once you intimated that that aspect wasn't pleaded, it should settle the whole thing. Because whether in cross-examination or in chief, that which is essential and not pleaded cannot come in. So I think that should settle that aspect. Yes.
Now, Dr. Baumia, Do overvoting and ballot stuffing, do they mean the same thing so far as you are concerned?
They are quite similar, I suppose, but if you want to find differences, I think I'm using them in the same context, that you are finding material in the ballot box that should not be there.
What was your question? Is
that overvoting and ballot stuffing, does he consider them as meaning the same thing?
Yes, my lords. When a ballot box you find overvoting, then in some sense it has been stuffed with extra votes.
And you claim you can show us examples of where the ballots in the box exceeded the number of persons entitled to vote.
As per the records on the pink sheets, my lord, we can show polling stations where the votes in the ballot box actually exceed the voters' register as recorded.
I think this is a repeated question, because you put it that you've not shown a single example of ballots in the box exceeding those in the register, and we've crossed that.
Very well. Now, Dr. Baumia, when representatives of the NPP went to see the chairman of the second respondent to try and stop the declaration, this was in the presence of members of the Peace Council. Is that not correct?
I presume there was, I think there was a meeting with the Peace Council, yes.
The second respondent was present. And Kwabna Ajepong, Mr. Kwabna Ajepong of the NPP.
Yeah, well, I wasn't there, so I'm not exactly sure of who else was there, but you can provide a record.
Now, as stated in your paragraph 20 about the discrepancies, the complaint that was made to the chairman of the second respondent with a request for him to halt the declaration of results was that there was a discrepancy, as stated in your paragraph 20, between the results being announced and the votes cast at the polling stations.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there were complaints about discrepancies in places like Tamale South, Lower Manya, Krobo, Techima North, Yilo Krobo, Brekum West, Kintempo South, Upper West Akim, and so on. I think these, may have been some of the complaints that were lodged, amongst others, I'm sure.
The discrepancy was between what votes announced?
Yes, the votes announced are declared by the second respondent on the one hand, and the votes as counted at the polling stations on the other. Which were totaled in the constituency collation centers.
That's right.
And
your answer is what? What was your answer to that question? You said before the Peace Council, your complaint was about this discrepancy between...
I think that was one of the complaints, my lord.
Dr. Baumia, the Domi Kwabenya constituency, which you mentioned, was exactly one in which the votes as counted in the various polling stations were being collated, and they had to be checked several times before a final figure was arrived at. Is that not correct?
Yes, my understanding is that there was an inconsistency which was pointed out by the candidate, and it was then corrected after several protests.
But it was to do with the votes that were counted at the polling stations being collated.
That's my understanding.
Now, Dr. Baumia, I'm suggesting to you that when the second respondent's chairman asked you for the basis of your request for him to halt the declaration, you produced some pink sheets. For example, Techiman North constituency, which has 77 polling stations, you produced 56 polling station pink sheets. That is correct, isn't it?
If you say so, I wasn't there.
In Kintampo South, sorry. Dr. Baumia, in Kintampo South constituency, which has 107 polling stations, you produced declaration forms or pink sheets for 84 only polling stations.
I wasn't there, but if that is the case, that it is.
For Lower Manya, Krobo constituency, with 112 polling stations, you produced declaration forms for 85 polling stations.
Yeah, I'm just taking your word for it. I wasn't there.
Upper West Achim, you produced 76, which has 76 polling stations. You provided 61, my Lord. And for Yilo Krobo constituency with 124 polling stations, you provided 96.
Okay.
Just to complete the list, for Brekum West constituency with 44, you actually provided 45, my lord, to the chairman of the second respondent.
Okay.
And finally, for Yendi constituency with 93 polling stations, forms for 96 were produced.
Yeah, that tends to happen with duplications of polling stations.
Now, Dr. Baumia, at that stage, you did not make any complaint regarding overvoting, serial numbers, and the rest. It was the inconsistency between the votes at the polling station and the votes as declared by the second respondent.
At that point, there were a number of issues. This was one of them, and we needed time to be able to go into all the complaints that we were receiving from across the country. We were told there was no time. You go to court under Article 64 if you want to, but there is no time. We are announcing the results. And so we proceeded, my lords, to do the investigation from all the complaints. And these are the irregularities, the violations, statutory and constitutional violations, irregularities, and malpractices that we have brought before this court under Article 64.
Dr. Baumia, I'm suggesting to you that the chairman of the second respondent informed you that you had produced insufficient evidence to enable him to halt the declaration of the results. Insufficient and incomplete evidence. I'm suggesting that to you.
That is probably what he said. He said that we had not got enough evidence, and so he was not going to halt. Maybe that is what it is. We took our cue from 2008 when we brought evidence of intimidation, beating of our agents. We're told that was a criminal matter.
Dr. Baumia, I asked you a question, and I'm expecting you to give me the answer, but not to go on.
I'm just explaining.
My Lord, counsel has asked a question, and the witness is answering that question in the best way he thinks he can do that, unless, of course, counsel has answers for the witness to use. So he should allow the witness to answer the questions. I think it's only the court that can stop the witness and not counsel.
No, well, it's an officer of the court. You can point out certain things for the reaction of the bench. But this type of answer, you see that where he's co-opting 2008 scenario will not really stand very well with the actuarial situation of 2012, because he was talking of a specific things, you know. So you don't plead general traverse and specific traverses combined relating to the same matter is a bit indecipherable.
My lords, the court can stop the witness, but it's not counsel. He has asked a question, and he should wait for the question to be answered.
Well. Yeah, so look. When you understand, I know you understand all the questions. So, just answer them sufficiently.
Yes, my lord. The chairman of the second respondent said the evidence we had was not sufficient for him, and so we should proceed to court if we wanted to.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Dr. Baumia, in paragraph 24 of the petition, your petition when you filed it, I shall read to you contents of that paragraph. Petitioners say that in some instances, votes earned by the first petitioner were unlawfully reduced, whilst at the same time, votes of the first respondents...
Excuse me, are you talking about the affidavit or the petition?
The petition. I think I'll show it to you, your original petition.
Okay.
If you could kindly read paragraph 24.
Paragraph 24 of the petition. Petitioners say that in some instances, votes earned by the first petitioner were unlawfully reduced, whilst at the same time, votes of the first respondent were illegally padded with the sole purpose of procuring victory of the first respondent in the 2012 December presidential elections.
Mm-hmm. This would be a typical... Sorry.
Yes.
This is what you maintained in the petition.
That's correct.
So that would be equivalent to a discrepancy between the votes as counted in the polling stations and the votes as declared by the second respondent.
My lords, that could be one way. There are other ways. You can pad votes by overvoting. You can pad votes by allowing people to vote without verification. You can pad votes by using duplicate serial numbers in the declaration of results. And so that is still padding of votes, no matter how you look at it, my lords.
Dr. Baumia, you will recall that we requested for further and better particulars of the instances of padding and reduction of votes. You recall that?
Yes, my lords.
And amongst the several areas in which we requested further and better particulars, in this particular instance of padding and deductions, the particulars were provided in an affidavit sworn to by Mr. Fred Oware and filed on 3rd February 2013. Paragraph 10.
Yes, my lord.
Dr. Baumia, can you tell the court from the affidavit sworn to by Mr. Fred Owari how many instances of padding and deductions you provided?
There were 3 instances that were provided in this particular affidavit that we've sworn. We've only provided one of these instances, but
how many were provided in this affidavit?
3.
Good, thank you. They relate to open space, new market, Amantin constituency, Brong Ahafo region, code number G230509. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The second was Baptist JHS New Tafu, Menchia South constituency, code F150306A.
That's correct.
And the third was Nana Buabasa, Menchia South constituency, Ashanti region, code F150306B.
That's correct, my lords.
Now, in the first, the discrepancy was the entry of the figure 97 according to the pink sheets and 17 according to the constituency sheet.
That's right.
The second, the allegation was that 960 votes had been credited to the first respondent instead of 96.
That's correct.
And in the third, the allegation was that 405 had been credited to the first respondent instead of 450.
That's correct, but we are not leading any evidence on the second and third in this petition. So I am not quite sure.
Mr. Baumia?
Yes.
This, what you are holding, is an affidavit sworn to by Mr. Fred Owari.
That's correct.
Good. Now, out of the 3 that you have cited, 2, namely the Baptist New Tafu and the Nana Buabasa, were wrong. Is that not correct?
We are not leading any evidence on the second and third.
They were wrong. Is that not correct?
Presumably, yes. We are not leading any evidence on that.
Now, when, after receiving your further and better particulars, we did the analysis of the material you supplied, we filed our answer and provided in Exhibit SA6 attached to the affidavit of Amadou Sule, filed on 27th February 2013, the particulars of those three. Filed 27th February 2013, AS6.
My Lords, I have in my hand a document that is typed out by the second respondent, ostensibly being information on EC's polling station results, pink sheets, and constituency collation results form, blue sheets. My Lords, we have tendered in evidence the relevant pink sheets. We have not seen this collation sheet. We are in no position to certify that these figures that has been typed out are indeed the figures on the collation sheet, which is the official record. I don't know the difficulty that the second respondent has in producing the base document, the original document on which this has been done. And we find it difficult to accept this document because we cannot vouch for the figures that has been typed on it.
Without answer.
This was attached to
our amended answer filed on the date.
Amended answer.
That is so, my Lord.
Filed on the 27th of February.
That is so. Sworn to by Mr. Amadou Sule, hence AS.
Yes.
And the exhibit number that is there.
And well, did you move to strike out anything there? When this was served on you, did you move to strike it out?
Actually, my Lord, if your Lordship have regard to our application for directions, it was stated that these are documents we're going to seek to have struck out. We never got to that because the issues were set down by the court, but it is on our application form that we're going to seek to strike out these attachments to the answer, precisely because we'll have no opportunity of objecting to it.
Yeah, but yes, Mr. Yeah, the general rule about evidence, you bring the best evidence possible, isn't it?
That is so. Lord, we shall produce the amended answer to which this was attached in the verifying affidavit.
No, it's not denying that it wasn't attached. He's saying that you have better, there's a better source of this, the source document is there. You brought this one, which is...
My Lord, could it be admitted subject to our producing the full document?
All right.
It will be admitted subject to their producing the original and tendering it. We want it to be tendered to support this document.
Yes.
No problem, my Lord.
No, he will turn a subject to production of the original data. It's conditional address.
My Lord, should I produce the answer, a copy of the answer to which this was attached, or can it be tendered pending the production, which I shall do? Otherwise, I can come back.
It's just this. They are not denying that it was attached to your answer,
Okay.
but they're attacking the, as it were, the authenticity of this particular document.
Okay.
They are not saying it was not attached to your answer. They are only saying that you should have produced the primary document.
Well, my Lord, I shall do so in that case.
Yes, you have given your terms. Proceed. You say
Now,
you will tender it conditionally, isn't it?
Well,
And that's what they've accepted. So let's go on.
We have no objection.
Well, we have no objection.
Exhibit EC4 is marked Exhibit EC4.
Provisionally admitted. Okay, I put it. Provisionally accepted in evidence. Says as it what? EC4. Provisionally. On condition of production of production of the original.
The original, that is so. Okay.
Whatever it is. Is it, yes, is it the original pink sheet?
No, the
Okay.
original document.
Yes.
To the original of this document, which was attached to our answer.
from which you made this, both of you made the extractions, then you are in a better position to demonstrate that their entries is wrong.
Very well.
He brought also a chart like that, isn't it?
Very well.
Yes, so it's the pink sheets they want. Am I wrong?
Want the base materials, which is the pink sheets
Yes.
and the blue sheets, the collation sheets. That is what is quoted in that document, the pink sheets and the collation sheets.
Very well, my lord. We shall, if it's acceptable, initially produce the original documents and produce the pink sheets and the blue sheets.
Yes, yes.
Now, Dr. Baumia, as a result of the filing of this document, you abandoned the second two claims of padding and deduction. Did you not?
We abandoned the second two. We came to the realization that we couldn't rely on these in this
You abandoned
petition.
the first two.
Yes. So they are not part of our analysis.
Analysis.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And I would suggest to you, Dr. Baumia, that the insertion of 97 instead of 17 instead of 97 was a clerical and transpositional error, which we have mentioned in the answer that we filed.
You and I were not at the collation center. We can only go by the evidence on the face of the pink sheet.
And your analysis.
Well, that evidence goes into the analysis, yes. The analysis shows us how all of these polling stations impacted on the votes and therefore the illegality of the declaration of the second respondent.
Yes, yes.
Dr. Baumia, out of the 26,002 polling stations in Ghana, you were able to provide only one example of such an error, which was a transpositional and clerical error.
My lords, there are many ways to kill a cat. Found out that the evidence
enough for the yes.
We found out that the evidence for padding was actually in different areas: overvoting, voting without biometric. My lord, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Put your question.
I suggested to you that amongst out of the 26,002 polling stations, you were only able to produce one example of a discrepancy between the votes as counted at the polling stations and recorded, and on the one hand, and the votes as announced or declared by the second respondent. Only one example.
No, I think we have 11,138 examples of a discrepancy between votes that are valid and votes that are invalid on the face of the pink sheet.
throws a patent over that statement you made earlier.
I'll have to pay. It appears I owe some royalties, my lord.
Dr. Baumia, I am suggesting to you that this is the only example you've been able to produce of a discrepancy between the votes as counted and the votes as declared. Leaving aside your accusations of presiding officer did not sign, there were double serial numbers, etc.
We have 11,138 examples, my lord.
And in those examples, how many are there where you have shown padding of the votes of the first respondent and deduction of the votes of the first petitioner on the pink sheets?
Most of these votes inured to the benefit of the first respondent.
My Lord, I don't believe the witness has answered my question. The question was a clear example of one, putting the figure of 97 instead of 17. And the other two, you alleged 960 and 906, and you abandoned. And I'm saying that apart from that one, you have not been able to produce any of the same category.
No, we are only producing one of that because we have 11,137 of others.
But you only produced one of that category?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, in your evidence in chief, you were referred to the statement made in our answer that the insistence on biometric verification was done, the insistence was emanated from the NPP. Is that correct?
We responded that the insistence was from the second respondent. And for good reason, because he wanted to protect the integrity of the election.
Yes, the second respondent. It was at the insistence of your colleagues, and at that particular meeting where the second petitioner and Mr. Kwabena Ajepong, the two of them attended that particular meeting at which this decision was taken at their insistence.
So they were so powerful to get you to take it to Parliament.
Please answer that question. Don't ask me a question.
I wasn't there, my lords. But it is the law. The law was passed, and we all have to live with the law and the rules that are embodied in the law.
Yes. Now, during the registration period, the political parties were provided with daily records of the registrations effected. Is that not correct?
That is not correct. Daily records, from all the polling registration centers from across the country, on a daily basis. It isn't correct. We were not provided. I think logistically you yourself will realize that it would have been a challenge.
Answer the question and leave the comments out. You can explain after, but...
Sorry, it wasn't correct.
But you were provided, even if not on a daily basis, you were provided with the results of the registrations effected at the various registration centers. Is that not correct?
I'm not aware.
You were also provided with a voters register around the 21st of November 2013. Is that not correct?
That is correct. The voters register came in 3 batches from around the 21st of November through to around the 2nd of December.
I apologize, my lord. Thank you for the correction. The witness said yes, and I apologize on his behalf also. Now, at the polling stations where voters were being verified for presidential and parliamentary, there was only one verification exercise. One was not verified twice.
That's my understanding, my lord.
I thought you were on voters register.
Yes, my lord. But I was going to show the link at a later stage. So I am suggesting to you that there was only one register that was used for both the parliamentary and the presidential.
Well, you and I were not at the polling station, so the only way we can find out is the primary record of this election, which is on the face of the pink sheet, and this is what we are going by.
Dr. Baumia, sorry. You told us in the course of your cross-examination that you voted. Can you give us the name and code of your polling station?
I don't know the code offhand, but it's in Kirga, Wale constituency.
Very good. It is, I'll help you. It is the polling station Presby JHS.
That's right.
Very good. With the code H230401. Do you have your voter's ID card in your back pocket?
I didn't think I needed one here. No, I don't.
Very good. Now, Mr. Bamea, remember when you provided the further and better particulars regarding the allegation of voting without BVD, we provided you with a list of all the polling stations together with the BVD machines attached to them.
Yes, we. But you, in that list,
yes, please.
I just wanted to.
He has answered the question.
There were 234 polling stations that we had not argued about anything, but you provided them anyway. But to say there was nothing wrong, but we had not provided those 234. We were not contesting those. I'm just clarifying about your list.
Lord, I have in my hand the pink sheet of Dr. Baumia's polling station, where he has just indicated that he voted. The original and the copy, my Lord.
Is it one of the polling stations we are contesting? I'm just asking.
You are under cross-examination.
Oh, okay.
My Lord, I have handed an original pink sheet and a photocopy to enable my learned friends to compare the two, because I prefer, after the comparison, to tender the copy so that the original can remain in the custody of the second respondent. Dr. Baumia, you have in your hand the pink sheet for your polling station, Presby JHS, Beriga, code number H230401, original and a photocopy.
Thank you. Yes, I do.
Lord, I would wish to tender the original, which has been compared by all my colleagues with the copy, which has been compared with the original by everyone, so that the original can remain.
We object. My lords, we are objecting to the tendering of this pink sheet. First of all, my lords, no proper foundation has been laid for the tendering of this pink sheet, save that it's in respect of a polling station where the witness voted. That is not sufficient for us to know the purpose for seeking to tender this pink sheet. Secondly, this amounts to ambush litigation. Because, my lords, the ground rules for this petition are that each party files an affidavit to which is attached all documents that they seek to rely on. We have attached to our affidavit 11,842 pink sheets. The EC, that's the second respondent, did not attach a single pink sheet to its affidavit. We come to this court and then it's springing pink sheets on us. And other documents. My Lord, the pink sheets sought to be tendered in any event is not even among the 11,842 polling station pink sheets that are issued in this petition. It's not included in it. And therefore the question of relevancy comes into play. We do not know why he wants to tender it. That is why we say he's not laid proper foundation for us to even assess the need to tender this document. On these grounds, we are objecting to the tendering of this document.
My Lord, we have no objection.
My Lord, I would first of all just note again that we've made clear that we do not have 11,000 plus documents attached to the affidavits as claimed by my learned friend. As we understand it, it is open to a party in cross-examination to produce a document to the witness and to get a reaction of that witness in the light of the evidence that we've heard from that witness. And on that basis, we cannot see any basis for objecting to this.
Yes.
Hello, this is the main witness for the three petitioners who has indicated that he voted at this particular station. There has been a lot of discussion as regards the procedure that is followed at polling stations, and pink sheets have been examined, errors, etc., my Lord. So when the witness has admitted that I voted at such and such a polling station, identified it with this code, surely it is relevant to give him the documents, the pink sheets relating to that polling station, and then to take him through the process to clarify the evidence that he's led before, my Lord. And, my Lord, it is part of the 26,002 polling stations that everybody acknowledges were declared by the second respondent. That's one. Secondly, your Lordships will recall that even though they have copies of all, that they should have copies of all the pink sheets, they brought an application for us to produce all the 26,000 pink sheets, and we resisted that they have them. So, my Lord, and our objection was upheld. We are now cross-examining this witness, and we are giving him the pink sheet from his own polling station to clarify some of the many things he has said regarding pink sheets in his evidence. My Lord, the objection I would respectfully submit is without foundation, and we request that it be overruled.
My Lord, first of all, we are not contesting 26,000 polling stations, which would justify pulling a pink sheet from any of the 26,000. We are contesting, first of all, 11,842, which we say we have reduced, but at least we have 11,842 pink sheets from which counsel can get an example of the process of voting. Yesterday, he took the witness through the process of voting. Is he saying that he is going to repeat these questions just because he has gone to fish out the polling station results for Dr. Baumir's polling station where he voted? What is the relevance? Any of the 11,842 pink sheets could be used for that purpose. You don't necessarily have to bring Dr. Baumir's station to take him through the voting process. Moreover, when that polling station is not even in contention.
Very well, this ruling by majority of 6-3, Atukuba Safadinra Kotobamfu JJSC dissenting. The objection is upheld.
Lord, we are most grateful.
Exhibit ECR
Dr. Baumia, at your polling station, you were verified only once. Is that not correct?
Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord.
Now, Dr. Baumia, I'd like to come back to Exhibit Exhibit C series. Now, in that exhibit, you sought to omit certain exhibits which were in the body of your affidavit.
Yes, my lord.
Referred to by exhibit number from paragraphs 31 all the way to the end of the affidavit. Is that not correct?
31 to. Question.
Sorry, my lord.
Your question again?
That in this Exhibit C series, he sought to, well, he indicated non-reliance on several exhibits that are mentioned in the body of his affidavit. Filed on 7th April from paragraphs 44 to the end, my lord. Dr. Baumia, your withdrawal was on the basis that there were duplications and inaccuracies?
Our withdrawal was on the basis that we could not sustain those claims of those violations in those categories. And so we didn't want to waste anybody's time, and therefore we deleted these from those categories.
I'm suggesting to you, Dr. Baumia, that even the ones remaining cannot be relied upon to sustain the contention of the need of annulment that you are suggesting to the court.
Oh, they can be relied upon, my lords. Very much so.
Now, turning to registrations abroad, Dr. Baumia, the second respondent notified you in advance of the dates on which it would undertake registrations of Ghanaians abroad, did it not?
The second respondent did, my lords.
And they also provided you with the estimates provided by the Foreign Ministry regarding the numbers of Ghanaians that they expected would be available for registration.
I think they did, my lord.
We just want to bring to the notice of Counsel for second respondent that we are unable to hear most of his questions. If we are not to wait for the transcript of the court and to go on with re-examination, it is important that we hear him now so we can take down notes. So we are pleading with him to speak into the mic so we can hear him.
Yes.
Lord, I would have expected him to have said so earlier if this was the case, my lord. Anyway. Now, Dr. Baumia, the number of voters on the register that were announced at the date on which the presidential results were announced contained an error, which in the picking of the correct figure, which has been stated in our answer to the petition. You are aware of that?
Yes, my lords. 158,890 was allegedly picked wrongly by the second respondent.
Now,
the question was long. Can you repeat? Yes.
The number that was picked in error was 14,158,890.
14,
158,890.
Picked for what purpose?
In the declaration of the presidential results. My lord. The correct figure being 14,031,793.
793.
14,031,793. Now, this is referred to in paragraph 8 of our amended answer. Dr. Baumia, you are aware of that?
I am.
I'm suggesting to you, Dr. Baumia, that that error only affected the turnout percentage to change it from 79.43% to 80.15%. It only affected the turnout percentage and not the valid votes cast.
My lords, we disagree.
Thank you.
And we disagree for this reason. the explanation that was provided by the second respondent for the figure of 14,158,890 was that initially the voters register was 13,917,366, and then they went ahead to do foreign registrations, and those foreign registrations brought up the figure to 14,158,890. In the interrogatories, the difference of 241,524, we asked for them to provide the details and the biodata of those people who were registered abroad, and to date we have not had those details. So just to sweep it under the carpet that and in the process we discovered fake voter ID numbers that they submitted.
My Lord, I believe the witness is going beyond giving an explanation to the question.
And this is why we don't believe that those figures had no impact on the valid votes cast or the total votes cast.
Now, Dr. Baumia, the second respondent did not state that it was the foreign registrations that brought the figure to that, what you mentioned. They did not state that it was the foreign registrations that brought the figure.
My recollection is that that is what they stated.
Mr. Baumia, you recall that you, in your interrogatories, you posed a question to the second respondent regarding the foreign registrations.
Yes, my lords.
Lord, sorry for the delay. I have in my hand the answer to the interrogatories, the Lord, filed on the 12th of February 2013, the Lord.
has gone.
You are aware of the document you are holding?
Yes, my lord.
What was your question?
That he was aware of this document, and he said, yes, my lord.
Oh, okay.
These are the answers to the interrogatories from the petitioners, my lord. My lord, it's a document that was filed accompanying an affidavit in response to the interrogatories. I don't know whether I need to tender it. It's already in the records of the court, my lord.
Yes. Yes.
And can you read the bottom of the first page and continue to the second page, my lord?
My lords, I'm reading the bottom of the second page, paragraph 5. In order to correct the effect of the omission and the resultant distortion it creates.
Can you start from the beginning of that sentence then, perhaps?
That's what I'm starting from.
Okay, thank you.
In order to correct the effect of the omission and the resultant distortion it creates, the second respondent, in answering the interrogatories, hereby provides the following information regarding the raw, into brackets, i.e. unprocessed, close brackets, entries. The said entry.
Dr. Manuel, may I have the document back to show you where I'd like you to read? Look, first page. Yes. Dr. Baumia, I said from the first page. You started from the bottom of the second page. From the first page. Start from the beginning.
From the beginning. I am a deputy chairman, finance and administration of the Electoral Commission and second respondent in this suit and deponent herein. In paragraph 3 of the affidavit sworn by the first petitioner and filed on January 21st, 2013 in support of the petitioner's application for leave to serve interrogatories on the second respondent, the deponent purported to quote paragraph 6 of the answer filed on behalf of the second respondent on January 7th, 2013. However, in the purported quotation, paragraph 3 of the said affidavit, close brackets, the said paragraph 6 of the second respondent's answer was not faithfully reproduced, but wrongly quoted in capitals, by the omission of crucial and significant words which are underlined in bold in the correct quotation below. And I quote paragraph 6. In answer to paragraph 12 of the petition, the second respondent says that the initial provisional figure it announced of registered voters was 13,917,366. After the conduct of registration of foreign service officials, students abroad on government scholarship, other Ghanaians working abroad in international organizations, and the late registration of service personnel returning from international peacekeeping duties, it announced a figure of 14,158,890 registered voters, representing raw entries in the database. After processing, should I continue? After processing the data to include persons who established that they had valid voter cards but were wrongly omitted, removing those who were shown to have been wrongly included, and excluding persons who had made multiple registrations, second respondent announced a figure of 14,031,793 voters. This was the figure used in printing the final voters register, copies of which are given to the political parties, following directives from the court on decisions regarding appeals from challenges and objections raised during the exhibition of the provisional voters register under CI 72. The number of registered voters stood at 14,031,680. The word inexplicably appearing in the last line of paragraph 12 of the petition is without justification. Further directives received from the court are yet to be incorporated into the register, as will the recent registrations effected in the Kassina Nankani district following the order of the High Court. This will alter the total number of registered voters. The voters register is dynamic, not static, particularly in this era of continuous registration as required by Regulation 9 of CI 72.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Now, Dr. Baumia, I'm suggesting to you that the second respondent never stated that the difference between the 13,917,366 and the 14,158,890 was due to the foreign registrations and the registration of troops.
That is exactly what the second respondent stated, my lords. Do you want me to read it again? Okay.
Now, Dr. Baumia, in your evidence in chief regarding the question C3, you mentioned that Form 1C was the voter's ID card.
It was the form which you filled to register biometrically. And the bottom of that form, I said, was what was laminated because it has your biometric registration details to put together your voter's ID card. That is my understanding.
Dr. Bawumia, you have in your hand the form in question.
Yes, my lords.
What point is that? C3?
It is Form 1C.
1C.
1C. I'd like to tender it in evidence, my lord.
But your prior question relating to it was that that was the one he said is.
In fact, he said that was a voter's ID card. If I recall
Okay.
So the bottom of that form is torn off and laminated to be your voter's ID card.
So, Dr. Bawumia, the voter's ID card, the photograph, and the remaining particulars are all parts of the details that are in the biometric register. Is that not correct?
That is correct, my lords.
Thank you. I wish to tender it in evidence, my lord.
My lords, I wish to be consistent with my objections, and therefore I'm objecting to this document as well. The point we're making is if the second respondent intended to rely on these documents, he should have attached them to his affidavit. He failed to do so. If now he wants to be tendering these documents, we can give a concession. It is only fair that he gives us the documents that he intends tendering in evidence. So we will have advance notice of them and look at them before they tender it. As it is, he keeps pulling out sheets and tendering them, which is not fair to us. We have exhibited everything we're relying on. And if he seeks to rely on some documents, it is only fair that he lets us see them first, not spring it on us as a surprise.
We have no objection. I don't think anybody would anticipate that we would say that C equals voter ID card. And the request that it should be given ahead of time just doesn't, I don't think it's quite correct. Nobody would have thought that Dr. Bawumia would say Form C equals voter ID card. Anyhow, I keep saying surprise is part of cross-examination.
I did not say Form C equals voter ID card. I said the bottom of that form.
The question that preceded this last one, you were saying that the BVD machines would verify the voter, and is it record his particulars or time?
The time and his voter's ID card.
The time, okay. Time and his voter's ID, okay.
That is so, and the time verified. It will also indicate the polling station and the code, Dr. Baumia.
Yes, my lord.
You mean the BVD will also record the code
of the polling station?
Yes.
And the name, my lord.
Okay. Name and code. Yes.
Lord, I've been told that the council has not indicated he is tendering it, so I'll hold my horses.
Dr. Baumia, you have in your hand a document that has Lollard's JHS Fadama, the code of Lollard's JHS Fadama, the biometric voter device number, and the list of persons verified at that polling station. Is it not so?
I have a list here of names of voter, full name, polling station, time verified.
And Lollard's JHS Fadama at the top?
That's correct.
Voter's ID also?
That's correct, my lords.
My lord, how many voters verified?
On this list is 81, my lords.
I would like to tender it in evidence, my lord.
My lords, once again, this follows the same pattern of trying to take us by surprise. This is nothing but a self-serving document. Again, it's been prepared by the second respondents, ostensibly from the biometric verification machine. We cannot authenticate this document. It is not our document. The witness would not be able to answer questions on it, and therefore he cannot tender it through him. He should wait for their witness to tender it through their witness and not through this witness. They prepared it. It is their document, not our document.
Yeah, I think this is... Yes, I mean, you are free to bid your time. I mean, if he has identified it, can be marked ID something, then When your time comes, you tender it. That's all.
Should identify it.
Well, but he has, if he has identified it, he says, but
My Lord, in view of the reactions, if it can be identified, well, which will be, well, fair enough.
You can suspend the whole exercise, yes.
I'm sorry? Very well, yes, my Lord. We had hoped that it could be identified, but if that is not, no problem. We can, at the appropriate time.
So you are withdrawing it?
Yes, my Lord.
My lords, I humbly pray that those portions of the witness's evidence relating to the document that has been withdrawn should be expunged from the record.
My Lord.
Yes, what's your response? Yes.
The witness was giving evidence as to what the machine does.
Yes.
And so there is no question, it's not justified to say that it should be expunged. He gave clear evidence as to what the machine does.
Yes.
Sorry, my lord.
You were applying that we should strike out the
portions related to the document.
Is there?
The portions related to the document that has been withdrawn.
Oh. Yes, we have a list of verified stations with dollars. There's a station. Yes. Okay. Okay, the last question and answers expunged.
I'm most
the one listening to Lawless and all these things.
We are most grateful.
Yes, okay.
Lord, if I could obtain clarification as to what has been expunged.
No, just that list. When you showed him the list, you have a list of verified stations with Lawless JHS station. That's the only one.
Very well.
But
Very well.
The rest is on. Yeah. There's somebody called Paris. Yeah, there's super Paris.
Dr. Baumia, you have in your hand an exhibit attached to your affidavit. It's M50000005. MBM 5 zeros and 5 at the end. 000005.
Yes, my lords.
Mm-hmm. And it's Enyano, MA Primary School.
What?
MBM 000.
No. Sorry. The name of the.
Spelling, sorry. ANYANO.
K.
ANYANO.
ANYANO. Yes, code number.
Enyano, I haven't finished, my lord.
Yes.
MA, Municipal Authority, I would say. M/A, Primary School B.
Yes.
F 150910B. 10B.
It's F, eh?
F.
Okay, all right.
That is correct.
Yes, my lords, that is correct.
Now, this is mentioned in paragraph 55 of your affidavit. Is that correct?
My lords, I'll just, if I could refer to paragraph 55. My lord, paragraph 55 deals with
50.
Yes.
No. 53.
Okay.
I've made a correction, my lord. 53.
Yes, my lords.
Good. Now, can you look on the entry for the number of ballots issued to voters on the polling station register?
Yes, my lord, 627.
That's question C1. And can you tell the court the answer given or the figure mentioned for question C3?
Yes, my lord, 627. 27, my lord, 627.
And the total votes, total number of voters on the polling station register?
752.
That's number what?
A
column. Yeah.
Column B1.
Yes.
And then column C6, namely C1, C2, C3, C4.
C6 is 752.
Clearly, the additions do not tally, do they?
The additions for ballots issued and then unused ballots should tally to what is the total issued, 752.
So
his question is that the totals do not tally. Total totals of what?
The total of 627 and 627 and 75 do not equal to the 752 that is in column C6.
Yes, my lords. You're not supposed to add 627 to 627 and then to 75. They would not tally, my lords. The ballot accounting is to add the 627 to the 75, which is unused.
Tell us what is on the ballot paper.
Yes.
And the ballot paper has put the total 752. Is that not correct?
That is correct, my lords.
So, Dr. Boehmer, if you added 627 and the 75, if you added the 627 once only and the 75 in that column, you would reach the 752.
Yes, my lords.
The figures would tally.
Yes, my lords.
So, I'm suggesting to you that the second 625 that was entered in respect of question 3C was a transpositional or clerical error and should have been 0. I'm suggesting that to you.
I don't agree.
Thank you.
Let's get to your question again. So the second
627.
Yes.
That was entered as question C3. Bearing in mind that C1, which is the number of ballots issued to voters on the polling station register, was also 627. I suggested to him that the 627, the second one, was entered in error, transpositional and clerical error, and should have been 0. And that if that was done, the figures would tally. Sorry.
Yes, that's your answer.
I disagreed, my lord. The C3, which is the number of voters who did not vote with biometric verification, all the people who voted could have voted without biometric verification. C3 just provides information, my lords. And so if you add it again to C1, you will be making a mistake. And this is why in the ballot accounting, you will not, in this case, you will not add C3. So it's an information, it's a piece of information. It's not supposed to be added up. And so what has happened is actually correct, that they've added 627 to 75 to actually get 752, my lords. That is.
It says C3 represents those who voted
without biometric verification.
Yes, and you are saying that all of them could have voted without?
Yes, my lord. That's what the record indicates, my lord.
Dr. Bawumia, question C6 is to be the total of C1, C2, C3, and C4. Is that not correct?
Yes, that is what is on question C6. But that would be an error. If you did it that way, my lord, then you would be adding C1 to C3, which is the number of people who have already voted. It will be double counting, my lords, if you had to account for the ballots that way. So you account for the ballots, my lord, if by adding the total used and then unused and spoiled.
Yes, but then, Dr. Bawumia, the question C6 has the figure 752, which is the addition of 627 ones and the unused ballots of 75. They come to 672. Is that not correct?
That's 752.
Correct. That's correct?
That's right. That's right.
So I am suggesting to you that the second 627 was a transpositional or clerical error, which if replaced by 0 would enable the figures to tally. I'm suggesting that to you.
No.
Repeated a number of times. Transpositional error, transpositional error. It's been answered. When the witness goes on and on, you try to stop him.
Yeah, I think there was some subdued exchange between them, which we didn't quite get. And he followed up on that. Maybe it opened up something new. Otherwise, we've got this down already. But what I want to be educated about, what then is the role of the C3 entry on the pink sheet? Does it
it's informational, my lords. How many people out of the people who voted without biometric verification? So that is the information it is providing. So for example, the people who had permanent trauma, if for example those who are allowed to vote without biometric verification, you would have information on them there, for example.
Are you suggesting that there were 627 persons with trauma at that station?
No, my lords. The record just says that 627 voted without biometric verification.
Mm-hmm. My lord, we have indicated in our pleadings that the question was required to be left blank because of the decision that everyone would be biometrically verified. But that some of the agents, this is in the pleadings.
My lord, I think counsel is now beginning to give evidence, in which case maybe he can exchange places. So we'll cross-examine on the matters he's talking about. We don't agree to what he's saying, and he's not giving evidence. He's to ask questions.
Well, maybe he's assuming that that evidence so far may not be clear to us.
Yeah, but my lord, so nobody has given such evidence. He should wait and put his witness in and put across that evidence so we can cross-examine that witness. He shouldn't be saying it from the bar.
Which evidence are you talking about?
The evidence about the fact that they are saying whatever it is they are saying.
You don't remember? I take it that you don't have an objection of anything. Yes.
My lord.
Yes, we've got to the stage where he said if you add C1 to C3, that will be double counting. Yes, yes.
Can you? Leave the evidence.
My record is not correct, but I heard you down as saying that if 627 is added to 75, you get a total, a certain total. Something. Why can't be correct? Can't be correct.
Yes, my lord. The spoiled, your unused ballots were 75.
Yes.
And the number issued to the voters at the polling station in C1 was 627.
Yes, and you are saying if the two are added, you get 752?
No. At the bottom, where the question is, what is the total of C1, C2, C3, and C4? The entry here was 752.
Yes, so now if you add 627 to 75, you get 702. So
no, sorry, 627 to 75.
702, not 752.
No, yeah. Sorry. 15. That's 75, my lord, plus 627.
Plus what?
75 plus 627.
Plus 0.
That is so.
It can be 752, 702.
Yeah.
My lord.
Or is there a figure in C2?
C2, no, there's rather, I believe, 12. 12 instead of 12. LA primary, 627.
And or C4, was that something in C4?
Yes, my lord. I believe spoiled, rejected ballots were 6 at that station.
That's in which column?
This is D2, my lord.
D2.
I don't know whether we are on the same sheet.
I'm dealing with, let me call out the sheet. It's MBM 505 with 000 zeros and 5. Anyano MA Primary School BF 150910B. That's the current pink sheet we're dealing with. Anyway, let's go on.
Yes, Lord, if I may come back to it.
Yes, okay.
Have you got one? Do you have your Sukkot hall with you?
Yes, my lord.
So, Dr. Baumia, you have in your hand, not yet, sorry. You have in your hand 3 documents.
Yes, my lord.
One is MBT 2.
Yes.
Which one?
MBT 2. MBT 2.
Yes.
Can you tell us the polling station name?
Joasso Court Hall.
And the code?
F262901.
And the second one you have is MBY 15.
Yes. That's also Joasso Court Hall.
And code?
F262901.
So that is a duplication, is it not?
No, it isn't a duplication. My lords, F262901. My lords, we presented these 3 pink sheets during my evidence in chief as an example of duplicate polling station codes, and Joasso Court Hall happened to have 3 pink sheets. So this is why, and we mentioned that this is one of the irregularities that we are pointing to. And the pink sheets have different, I think, presiding officers and signatures of the agents also for the same polling station.
Yes, my lord.
You have the third one.
I do have the third one, my lord.
You didn't mention it.
I'm sorry, my lord. It is MBT.
Yes, my lord.
And what is the code there? NBT only, my lord. NBT only. What is the code?
My lord, it's F262901. It's the same polling station code for all 3 separate pink sheets, my lord.
Now,
Is the name of the polling station the
Joasso Court Hall, my lord.
And
is that the one, what you're holding, MBT, is the one which has total number of valid votes or total number of votes A and B as 124?
Yes, my lord.
Lord, I have the original of that pink sheet, my lord. or before that, I'm suggesting to you, Dr. Baumia, that MBT was special voting.
My Lord, I do not agree.
Very well.
Which of the MBTs? MBT2 or?
The MBT plain, NBT. There is NBT2 and then NBT15. And then there's NBT2.
We are saying all these three related to special voting?
One of them relates to special
the MBT.
voting. NBT.
Okay.
NBT is the one that has the total votes of 124, not so?
It is, but a special voting should not have a code like this.
Please. And the other two have a total votes of 292, not so?
124.
That's correct, yes.
I have in my hand the original pink sheet of the Joasu Court Hall for the special voting.
But this MB series, are they not exhibited to his affidavit? If they are, then why another process of tendering?
That is the thing. Because the original has special voting written on it.
The original?
But, yes, but the photocopy blotted that out. It's easy to see if you look at the two, my lord.
Okay, so...
The special voting, do they have separate pink sheets?
Some of them subsequently were used for the general voting on the 7th of December, but the special voting took place on the 4th of December.
Yes.
Do they have a
separate
pink sheet?
Pink sheet,
oh,
yes.
Definitely, my lord.
For special voting?
Definitely, my lord. Definitely, because they are counted in the same way as ordinary voting, according to the CI. They are counted in the same way, but at the collation center. So they have pink sheets. There you go.
Mr. Addison, I think for your section, you have to nominate 2 pink sheet agents. The whole array.
My lord, the advice is well taken. We object to the tendering of this pink sheet. First of all, every writing on the face of this pink sheet is in blue ink, except the special voting, which has been done in red ink. It is of recent vintage. It has been put there after everything here has been filled out. And that is why special voting does not appear on any of the 3 pink sheets we have tendered in this court. But, my lord, we made a categorical statement in our affidavit in paragraph 59, where the witness swore as follows, that there were 3 polling stations where exclusive instances of the irregularities and malpractices of polling stations with same polling station codes and different results occurred and can be found on the pink sheets. The combined effect of these infractions vitiated 687 votes. Attached herewith and marked as Exhibit MBT, MBT1, and MBT2 are photocopies of pink sheets of the polling stations where these infractions occurred. Here was a specific mention of these pink sheets. And what was the response of the second respondent? He responds in paragraph 14 and says, paragraphs 36 to 68, blanket 38 to 68 contain inconsistencies and are denied. The second respondent says that the petitioners are fastening onto errors committed in the completion of pink sheets by presiding officers that do not benefit any particular candidate or affect the number of valid votes cast at the polling stations. Not a single statement about this being special voting. Not a word of it. Yes, I'm still finished. My lord, yesterday, counsel tendered through the witness their own guide to election officers and directed the witness to read page 7, paragraphs 2.2 and 2.3. Clearly stated there's no provision for pink sheets. If my lordship should, I can read it for everybody to hear. Paragraph 2.2, custody of ballot boxes for special voting. Ballots cast on a special voting day must not be counted after the poll. The ballot boxes containing the ballots should be kept in a secure room at a police station in the constituency, sealed with the seals of the commission and any candidates who may wish to add their seals. Page 8, 2.3, counting of special voters' ballots. On polling day at exactly 5 p.m., when voting ends at the polling stations, the returning officer must retrieve the special voters' ballot boxes from the police station and count the ballots in the presence of the candidates or their agents at the constituency collation center. The results of the count should be recorded separately on both the presidential and parliamentary collation forms, forms EL23B and EL23A respectively, in the spaces provided like any other polling station. The results of the special voting ballot should be added to the results from all the polling stations in the constituency before the declaration of the constituency results. So, my lord, there it is. On the collation forms, it does not say on the pink sheets.
Yes.
But my lord,
please exercise some patience. My lord, the EL23B is the presidential results collation form, which is done at the collation center, completely different from the pink sheets we are talking about, which is the polling station declaration of results. My lords, on form number EL23B, it is stated as number 1, special voting results, and that is embossed on the form, special voting results, and that is where the collation officer enters the results of the special voting after counting it at the collation center. This is what is said in their own guidelines. There is no
then the back where the signature is EL22.
Is that an objection or an address?
You're just, my lords, the pink sheet, statement of poll and declaration of results for the office of president is form number EL21B. Form number EL21B. And the declaration, which is the signature side, is form number EL22B. So quite clearly, these are completely different forms from form number EL23B and 23A, which are the collation station results. My lord, we're questioning the authenticity of this document that has just been sprung on us. And
my lord, we have no objection. And I'm completely amazed that the official custodian of a document comes to court and says that what you have there, I have the original. There is no original anywhere else. If there is any other official body that handles electoral documents, they can say. The official custodian comes and says, I have the original. And I would like you to compare it with what is there. And the objection is that you doubt the authenticity. Those are official documents. And they are fundamentally relevant to this matter. I heard something being said that something may have been added later. How do we know that it wasn't blotted out in photocopying? How do we know that? It's a serious allegation. We should think the reverse. What if the other side is being accused of blotting out special voting for an obtuse purpose? These are official, original documents, respectfully, my lords.
No, my lords, I need to take an objection to this kind of. My lords, the objection was to counsel for second respondent. I do not think the counsel for first respondent can respond to the objection in a way as if he is representing the second respondent. My lord, we need some directions in this respect. This has been going on for some time, and we do not think it's proper that first respondent should respond in the manner he did when the objection was to second respondent.
Are you trying?
Well, but well, before you can speak, we'll have to determine your locus standard which you has raised.
You have to determine the locus, my locus or his.
Your side.
I'm going to indicate what my locus is.
Okay.
I am counsel for the third respondent. and the third respondent is a party to this suit.
Yes.
And when material is being tendered in evidence, it is in relation to evidence in this suit, which affects the conduct of the case of the third respondent, as indeed other parties. It is therefore appropriate for parties to be heard in respect of these matters. What is more, your lordships, if the conduct of the case were intended to be just between the petitioners and the second respondent, then of course we would not be in this court at all. But we have been joined as parties for good reason, and therefore we certainly need to be heard. And I do want to have, I would like to be heard in respect of the objection that has been raised and the address that was made.
Yes.
My lord, I would like to bring to the notice of the court the fact that there was no challenge to these exhibits, no challenge to the authenticity of these exhibits which we exhibited. I've referred your lordship to the particular paragraph in our affidavit. In their response, there was no challenge to it. Now, second respondent is saying that there was some writing on it that somehow did not appear on the ones that we served them with. Why did he not raise it in his affidavit? We cannot conduct this case in this manner, springing these things at every turn.
That's another issue. We have challenged a host of exhibits they have brought to this court, and the legitimate way of challenging it is by this method. I can't see any other way of challenging those exhibits. We have indicated duplicated, quadruplicated sheets, and those are exhibits in this case. We have challenged them, and that is the only way to challenge those sheets. So it's not correct to say that we have not challenged the pink sheets that have been brought to this court. We have.
My lords,
yes.
Three people going to respond to one objection.
Is there?
What is your locus in this? The objection is to the second respondent. In respect of the specific matter that he's seeking to tender. Why should they respond to it?
Let's look at the substance of the matter.
No, my lord, these things are important. They keep on doing it.
I'm coming. Okay. That doesn't solve the problem at stake. The objection you have raised, I was going to cut in before Church you came in that, in a case I say, it will be most unrealistic to compartmentalize, the evidence as between parties as privity of between. It's one entire case this way or that way. Now let's put it the other way. Let's put it another way. Assuming this type of evidence goes and it is something that affects the decision, are you saying that when they appeal, they can't take a point on appeal relating to the improper reception or something of evidence relating to this thing, they will have locus. I think it will be it affects them. They have an interest as for that. They are affected by the evidence being led. And I think that is sufficient standing. Well, that's my view. But if it is contentious, we can retire and consider and come and rule. But I thought that some of these things yes.
Yes, my Lord, my learned friend mentioned that the results are entered on the collation sheet. But my Lord, you have to have a pink sheet before you can enter it onto the collation sheet. Yes. You have to, and I'll read the CI, my Lord. This is CI 75, please. CI 75, Regulation 2110. Subject, if I may.
Regulation, what, 10?
2110.
2110. Is it 21.10?
Well, sub-regulation 10 of regulation 21.
21, oh, okay. Oh.
Sub-regulation 10 of regulation 21.
21, okay.
If I may, with your Lordship's permission, read. Subject to regulation 11, voting at a polling station for special voters shall be conducted in the same manner as voting on polling day. 11. The returning officer shall, at the end of the special voting, ensure that the ballot boxes are kept in safe custody after the poll has closed. B. Ensure that the ballot boxes are sealed with the seals of the Commission and any candidates who wish to add their seal, and arrange for the ballot boxes to be opened at the time of counting of the votes on the polling day, and the ballot papers shall be counted in the same manner as those contained in ballot boxes used on the polling day. My Lord, I submit that means that they are counted in the same way and recorded on a pink sheet. Because, my Lord, you will need the results of the special voting before you can collate. And the collation is the addition of all the votes from the different polling stations, including the polling stations that were used for special voting. My Lord.
Some mistaken. It appears that when the first respondent was cross-examining the witness, there was a lot of evidence relating to special voting and pink sheets or something, unless my mind is deceiving me. So if that ground is there. But as far as the local standard to the objection raised, this kind of thing has come again. It started from the very beginning of these proceedings. It's come in another form. For me, I think that at all times, the right to be heard depends upon the rule of natural justice. And that depends upon whether the person stands to be affected in his interest in one way or the other in the proceedings. If he does, I think he has a right to be heard. But anyway, what is it? But no.
My Lord,
I thought you had.
This is their document. They can wait and tender it to their witness. This witness cannot answer on this special voting written on the document.
Well,
it is not our document.
It's another matter.
Yes, it is their document, not our document. We have exhibited our document.
But I think the cross-examination is based on your documents.
That is correct.
Yes. This is, I thought this is an offshoot of your exhibits on this. All right. Yes, you are on your feet. What?
Yes, my lords, I am responding to the objection to the tendering of the original of the pink sheet.
Yes.
And I'm responding to observations made by counsel for the petitioners, in which he has in effect made allegations about the pink sheet and its authenticity. And my lords, it is extraordinary that that is a basis being raised for an objection. We have had evidence in these proceedings, evidence from the witness, which shows that they have submitted before this court the same pink sheet with different signatures. In effect, one of those documents must be a forgery. On the face of what they have submitted, one of them must be a forgery. We have had that coming from that side. And in this case, you have an original document being submitted, which can also affect the court's assessment of the evidence, the exhibits that they have supplied, which we have challenged. We have challenged both as to content and also as to even numbers, because they have claimed a certain number of documents in evidence, a certain number of documents attached to affidavits, which we've challenged. And therefore,
this line of, we're talking of one pink sheet that is sought to be tendered by the second respondent. Going on and on in the fashion that the third respondent is going is totally unacceptable. And it's very typical of the third respondent anyway. They have not challenged anything. And yet when people raise matters, then they see the importance of it. He should wait. If he ever gets his turn, he can raise these issues that he's raising. But we totally object to this line of submission.
I do not allow rude interjections to affect my submissions. I'm submitting that the document that is being sought to be tendered cannot be objected to on the grounds alleged. The grounds alleged do not provide a legal basis for an official record not being provided.
But he also finally suggested that the proper person to tender will be the EC and not this man.
Yes, but that is why I said that if it is being used to confront the issue of whether what has been exhibited is actually proper as a document related to that polling station, because we have challenged that. We have shown at least in one, there has been cross-examination which has shown at least in one case a forgery. That's a serious matter. A forgery. Two sets of different sets of signatures in respect of one polling station. That's clearly an indication of a forgery. So why can we not?
I think there's a small catch there.
The Lordship had said himself in this court that there is no issue about the authenticity of the pink sheets. You have said so here, and that is the case. Nobody can so belatedly now talk about documents that are not authentic. Your Lordship said it here. It is on record.
Authenticity of which document?
Of the pink sheets that we have tendered.
Oh, no, but you see, that was so because there was nothing to raise anything. Yeah. But now there is, you are raising, you are even casting the authenticity by saying that the inscription special voting was a kind of doctrine of the document. But I think that there's a difference between right to cross-examine a witness relating to a document and necessarily tendering it through that document, through that witness. May I ask your questions, but tender it through the proper person. That's what the evidence decree says, 79, I think. Is it 79? If a party is questioned about a document, I mean, if you use it, that's about refreshing. Why is to the same distance?
Yes, I think the other time one of your colleagues read section 71 or so of the evidence, 74. And I think it should guide you. There's a difference between identifying a document, asking questions of it, and then tendering it through that person. I think don't mix the two of them. Because once you try to tender it, then and an objection is raised, the court is bound to rule upon the objection. But you can have it identified, even shown to the witness and ask him questions about it. If for the purposes of contradicting a document on the record, let's do it according to the rules.
I shall proceed in that way. I shall proceed in that way.
But
Lord, I would mention the record.
Yes, partially like we did in the first one. I don't see the difference between the first one you withdrew and this one. But if you feel that you are in your rights, okay, we'll rule on it one way or the other. If you feel that you can withdraw it, the tendering, and tender it through your own witness at the right time, that's up to you. But if you feel that you are within your rights, we'll rule on it one way or the other.
My Lord, there's been a full argument on this matter. Indeed, this matter has been raised earlier on. Your Lordship ruled on it, and he's brought it again. And I'm sure it will not be the end unless a stop is put to it. We're going to be encountering this because I'm sure he has a line of pink sheets lined up, and it is not fair. This is not the way this petition is supposed to be conducted. He should have attached these exhibits to his affidavit. Wow. Now we've come here, he's bringing them one by one. Every time a ruling has to be taken for each one. But we have argued. Yes. We have argued on the point.
Yes, the ruling hasn't been given. That doesn't mean that a party has got the right mid-air of his attempt to tender and before a ruling to advise himself, well, you guys, that one. So let's take your plea on that and proceed. Do I understand you to be insisting on your right to tender through him?
No, my Lord.
My Lord, with the greatest respect, yes. We have fully argued. The other respondents have gotten up. We were even objecting to their arguing. They've made so many statements, and we think that this matter should be put to rest. He has quite a number of them, and we're going to object to each and every one of them.
My Lord, he's looking into... The court's ruling on that was that until the ruling came from the president, he's been given a chance to either withdraw or be ruled. And that ruling has been given.
Very well.
We believe he will take a cue for this.
Lord, he says, I have a pile of them. Everybody should look into his own cooking pot, not looking into my pot and counting how many pieces of meat I have in it. And he's not seeing it properly either, my Lord. My Lord, I will withdraw. I wish to be allowed to withdraw this exhibit.
You are supposed to say that because of the machine. Everything you say should go into the machine too.
Yes. So I do not seek to tender this document.
So you are withdrawing?
That is so.
That's so.
Mr. Kwashad, there's a point in what you were saying. If you repeatedly do this, it will amount to an abuse of the process. And we will hold you strictly to further attempts and rule on the merits.
Lord, that no documents should be tendered by us in cross-examination, or?
No, appropriately. All those that have been appropriate have gone in. But those you should know cannot be tendered through him. If you do it and an objection is made, we will rule it out. What is the problem? We are saying that before the ruling, he says he has withdrawn. So what is there to rule?
He was relying exclusively on the exhibits supplied by the petitioners, and he will give a pile, give them the numbers, and tender and question, cross-examine extensively on those exhibits tendered by the petitioners. These exhibits, some of them that you've been tendering so far, are coming exclusively from your custody. Some are public documents, so we have to allow those. Some are exclusively within your jurisdiction. When the application for inspection and examination was made, you objected, and we upheld your objection. So now, unless you lay proper foundation, now the witness in the box is not an official of the Electoral Commission, so he cannot answer some questions on your exhibits. You will have the day, and then you will tender all the documents that you want to tender, subject to your pleadings.
Yes. So, Dr. Baumia, I would suggest to you that the Joasu Court Hall document, that is MBT, was in respect of special voting.
My lords, on the collation sheet, this form 23, there is no polling station code for any special voting in Ghana. And here there is a polling station code. If you look at any collation sheet, 275 in this country that the second respondent has, there is no polling station code because there is no pink sheet. There is no polling station code. Bring any collation sheet and show me the polling station code that corresponds to this polling station code. Any.
Which one is...
suggest to you that each polling station at which special voting took place has a polling station code, and the votes at that station are counted and recorded in the same way on pink sheets.
My Lord, that is not correct, because on every collation form, each polling station is only identified by the polling station code. You cannot have two polling station codes for the same polling station. And this is why, my lords, on the collation form, there is no polling station code for the special voting. It's just put there, special voting. No polling station code, otherwise there will be a conflict.
Dr. Baumia, the votes at the special voting, are they not collated at the collation center?
Yes, my lords.
They are?
Yes, my lord.
But they are not counted on pink sheets?
They are not counted on pink sheets. You don't have two polling station codes for the same polling station on the collation forms.
Now, Dr. Baumia, the percentage of votes, well, the votes issued to polling stations, according to the practice of the second respondent, was to give them 10% more than the number of persons entitled to register to vote at the polling station. Is that not correct?
Yes, my lords.
This is also to account for spoiled ballots.
Yes, my lords.
Now, you are also aware that you already mentioned, you admitted that the political parties were given statistics of the ballots issued to all the polling stations.
As far as I'm aware, that may have been the case. As far as I'm aware, that was the case.
Now, you're also aware that the ballot booklets were in 100, 50, or 25.
Yes, my lord.
And could not be split.
Yes, my lord, as far as I'm aware.
So if a station was to be given 152, it would have to be given one pack of 100, one pack of a 50, and one pack of a 25.
Well, the operationalization, my lords, I cannot speak to that because I wasn't there.
No, but you say...
You might have them...
Let me phrase the question again. You agreed that they are in booklets of 100, 100, 50, and 25.
Yes, my lord.
So and they cannot be split up, broken up.
What do you mean broken up?
You cannot break a book of 100 and take only part out of it.
But you can issue out of 100.
And leave the rest?
I'm not there, so I cannot tell you what somebody did.
I'm suggesting to you that the practice is to give complete booklets of either 100, 50, or 25.
Oh, I agree that should be the practice.
Good. So if a station needs 152, for example, you can only give one booklet of 100, one booklet of a 50, and one of 25, because you cannot split the 25 one. That's what I'm suggesting.
Well, that would be the operational
logical
practice.
Thing to do. Mm-hmm. So that if the
Yes, in fact,
okay, so don't put your arguments or your addresses
the inferences
the
and all.
inferences to him. Leave
Lord,
it to us to draw the inferences.
Lord,
Well, that's what we're going to say.
the Lord, he has indicated that an inordinate number.
He has agreed to all of your suggestions. He has agreed to all your suggestions. And the next question will be the inference from it, and I don't think you should put it to him.
Very well, my lord. Very well.
You are propounding that in order to get 125 or something, you have to box 25 sheets, a package to 100. That follows naturally from the major premise that has been admitted.
Very well, my lord. Now, having been given the statistics of the number of ballots issued to each polling station, you can also check on the pink sheets from the serial numbers as to what was allocated to them.
Yes, my lords. For some of them that have been entered.
Now, after receiving these statistics, was any protest made by your party regarding the quantity that was issued to any of the polling stations?
I'm not aware that any protest was made.
I'm suggesting to you that it is not true that they were given 98% more instead of the 10%. I'm saying that your evidence in that respect is not correct.
That is not correct, my lord. The evidence on the face of the pink sheets suggests that in aggregate 98% more ballots were issued than registered voters.
To which stations in particular? Can you give us which stations?
As I said, the analysis is in the further and better particulars that we have submitted. It's a large document, and every polling station that we have under contest, the details are in that analysis, the ballot analysis.
Now, Dr. Bamia, you mentioned that a different register was used for the parliamentary and a different one for the presidential, or was it in?
My lords, I said that a figure of 14,031,680 was used to gazette the parliamentary results. And for the presidential results, they were announced as 14,158,890. And these are different. But we are told that the actual correct figure is 14,031,793, which is also different.
This is not the question he's asking. He's asking whether you said different registers were used for the parliamentary and presidential elections.
I said that different figures for the register were presented to us, my lord.
But the same register was used?
Well, this is, one hopes that the register is the same, but we are getting different figures. So I'm not quite sure if the register is the same, because even at the polling station level, when you look at the aggregate of B1, all the polling station registers, the figures in there are different from the EC voters register. So there's yet another difference.
Voters were not verified twice. They were only verified once at the polling station.
You asked these questions
But I want to be clear in my mind. Is your answer that different registers were used for the presidential and parliamentary?
I'm not sure, my lord. That we just have different figures.
Okay, that's all right. I'm not sure. Okay. Now, Mr. Kwashai, by way of
has explained at length why he's not sure. Somehow you've truncated the answer and taken that I'm not sure. He has explained at length.
Well, we have the power to control mode of questioning and answer. If we feel that is straying overboard, we have that power to insist that enough is enough. That's what I've done. Now, by way of preservation, if you want to sit down, you are tired, you can sit down and continue your cross-examination.
I think I can.
All right. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Thank you for the offer, my lord.
Yes.
Mr. Baumia, you mentioned that at any time one saw a blank space in a collation form, in a pink sheet, the declaration form, that meant zero.
In the context of overvoting, we looked at B1 and C1, and what I said, my lords, was that if you are trying to hide overvoting, the easiest way to do it is to leave B1 blank or C1 blank. And so if it is blank, there is no basis for accounting for those ballots, and that is why we classified them as overvoting.
What was your question?
Lord, I'm asking him whether any time he sees a blank space in a pink sheet, he is saying that that is equivalent to zero.
I think this was asked by the first respondent, and he said yes. He regards a blank space as zero. I remember this.
In the context of overvoting,
I'm suggesting to you that a blank space means an omission has been made in completing the form. A clerical error has been made in completing the form.
an omission which has resulted in overvoting.
Now, on the question of the polling agents, the second respondent provided training facilities for all polling agents. Is that not correct?
That is, I suppose, they probably did the best that they could in terms of providing training facilities for all. Yes, they did.
You are also aware that agents, where they found any malpractice or irregularity, could indicate on the pink sheet and refuse to sign the pink sheet.
Some of them did.
In the majority of cases, they signed without any indication of a difficulty.
In the majority of cases, they signed to attest all that was on the pink sheet, including the violations and irregularities.
Now, let's the previous question was that some of the polling agents refused to sign or something.
I said that they signed, the majority of them signed without any objection.
And he said what?
He said some refused to sign.
Some did not sign, my lords, but some also signed to attest to the contents of the pink sheet.
Some of them did sign.
Yes.
Very well. Adjourn to tomorrow. Sorry. Yeah. The continuity syndrome is in me. All right. Till Monday. Monday. 29th at 9. This time we'll sit at 9 a.m. so that we can maximize the early hours when there's freshness. 9 a.m., 29th April 2013. Okay, stands adjourned. Okay. To explain that under the rules, we are supposed to be sitting every day. But we have seen that if we want to do that, people will just collapse. There's evidence, prima facie evidence. Already, sir. But I mean, if they come over and they come, they insisted that. saying that, hurry up, sorry. And then he arrested the signature, saying that we should continue at the... But we always do. Whenever we adjourn, the scene on the slide. You continue on your former witness bail till Monday. You are discharged temporarily.